Shh, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting justice.
Well, welcome to North Point. Good to have you with us today on a great week. For some of you, it's a short week. Maybe for some of you, it's a long week, whether you've been looking forward to Thanksgiving or you knew it was coming. Hey, we're excited that you're here with us as we join this week. And I just got confirmation that we are joined right now by all of our campuses. And so we want to take a moment and welcome you. I want to start by welcoming the Springfield campus. Those of you who are here right here, glad to have you here. And that's exciting. I was prepared to do this being the only person in the room, but I'm glad I'm not. I want to welcome our Nixa campus. Good to have you joining us today. I also want to welcome our Republic campus. And I love that there is internet service in Republic. I love that. I also want to welcome our Dream Center campus. Would you welcome them as well today? Exciting. Good to have you all join us. Whether you're joining us also online from somewhere exotic, or maybe you're joining us from a hospital room, wherever it might be, glad you're here today as we continue a series we started, and it's called Open Season, Looking for Different Things in Life. And today we're going to talk about looking for justice. So as we do that, I want to start by referring to our app. We have an app wherever you get your apps. North Point Mo is our app. And so one of the benefits of that app is you can get some other resources, some books that are well paired with the series that we're in. So any other resource you're interested in, you can get that at the North Point Mo app, or you can follow along with message notes. It'll at least help you with that, or at least pace you when it's almost time to go to the Cracker Barrel, whatever it is for you on that North Point Mo. But on the very top of the outline, I want to talk about kind of this idea that'll launch us into today's conversation. It's my role will always impact my goal. Okay? My role will always impact my goal. Okay, now I'm going to look for some interaction here. Everybody say role. Now everybody say goal. Everybody say it like you're an announcer for a soccer team. That's all right, that's good. I just needed a couple of you to say it. Very good. Okay, so my role in life, my role in anything impacts the goal. The goal is what I want to see accomplished. My role is my task. What am I doing? My role is always going to be connected to my goal. Now, let's just say for illustration today that there is a 3-on-3 basketball tournament and I enter it. And now, just something you need to know about me. I played basketball in high school, 4 years varsity. It was in Idaho, and it was the smallest division in Idaho. And something else you need to know about me, my coach gave me very explicit instructions. Do not shoot a three-pointer. I don't care that you're open. Matter of fact, I know why you're open, but do not shoot a three. So that's enough about me. But let's say it's a 3-on-3 tournament down at Hammond's, okay? And it brings out Southwest Missouri's best and brightest basketball players, 3-on-3, and I pick my two teammates. I pick LeBron James, okay? And I also pick Victor Wembanyama, okay? Wemby, the 7-foot, like 18-inch, 7'6" monster who's changing the game of basketball. So it's Victor, Wemby, and LeBron James, and Biscuit the basket from way downtown, bang, Jeremy, okay? So the three of us are gonna play. Now, I'm highly motivated because the winner of this 3-on-3 tournament wins $25,000 to split with a team. I don't think Victor and LeBron are too motivated by that. I am interested, quite wildly interested in that prize. Now, okay, we're gonna get going. I think we'd win this deal, but I would have a role. My role, if our goal is to win that 3-on-3 tournament, my role would be simply throw the ball to Victor and LeBron, okay? Do not shoot the ball. Do not dribble the ball. Do not get in their way. If I can execute that role, I think we accomplish that goal. Can you imagine in that scenario, we get to the championship with $25,000 on the line. I got LeBron down there. I got Victor down there, right? Everybody's ready. And I decide this is the day where I'm going to impress Wemby and LeBron. I'm going to shoot all the shots. People are going to be amazed, and they'll probably sign me to a contract. And let's say that I try to do this, and I'm getting annihilated. And they call a timeout, and they say, hey, Jeremy, pass us the ball. How about we can help? And I'm like, no, this is all about me. If I want the goal to be accomplished, I need to accept my role in the process, okay? It's true in business. It's true in sports. It's true in families. Like if you have a company goal, you probably have a very clear role, right? You need to accomplish your role. But we can get frustrated with our role and we could jeopardize our goal. And so we're gonna talk about what our role is. Mark chapter 16. Jesus is talking. Now, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in the New Testament, they're the same story written by different authors. It's the life of Jesus from different perspectives. In the book of Mark, this is one of the last things that is said by Jesus before he ascends into heaven. So a little quick Bible-y 101, okay, is Jesus comes down, God's son lives a perfect life. For 3 years, he's teaching and expressing the kingdom of heaven in such a way it's blowing people's minds, opening people's hearts. And then he's murdered on a cross, not because he had done anything wrong, but because he jeopardized the entire religious system as it was known in the Jewish world. And the people who are profiting on it, they put him to death. And so what happens is Jesus dies on the cross, but on the third day, just as it would have been prophesied, he rises from the dead. Okay, so now he spends about 7 weeks walking around, talking, and after this time, he ascends back into heaven. Well, during these last moments here on earth, he says this about our role and about the goal. He says this to his followers. He says, go everywhere in the world and tell the good news to everyone. Okay, I'm going to make you talk again. And just say, I'm going to have you say the words everywhere and then the words everyone, okay? So this is our role. Our role is to go and tell what kind of news? No, I didn't tell you to say that. Okay, this is my speaking part, okay? It's the good news. It's the good news. Everyone smile. Now, pivot your head. Isn't that weird, right? Looking at this. If you're happy and you know it, tell your face, okay? It's the good news. What's our role? To go everywhere and tell everyone what kind of news? Not bad news. Y'all going to hell, and I'm just here to remind you. Here's 6 reasons the Lord hates you. That ain't good news. Go everywhere, tell everyone good news. Good news. Now, I don't want to get ahead of it because we start a brand new series real soon that talks about good news of great joy that'll be for all people. We'll talk about that, and it's about Christmas, earmuffs. But today I want to talk about our ongoing role. My job, my role is to go everywhere, tell everyone good news. Now, back the original audience, when they heard this, where was everywhere for them? Okay, they weren't going to Australia. They weren't going to Clever, Missouri. Okay, they would be like within 60 miles of probably where they heard this. Today is a different deal. Like if you talk to any travel agent, you can probably be anywhere on planet Earth by Thanksgiving, right? So if you're looking for an escape plan, right? But it can happen. We live in an era, but it's not telling all of us, okay, our homework assignment is go to AllegiantAir.com and book one of 4 beautiful destinations from Springfield. That's not the goal. The goal is to say this: wherever your feet go, wherever your hands extend, be good news. The role is to be an expression and a reflection of Jesus in such a way that someone else sees Jesus. That's our role. That's our goal. But sometimes we get frustrated in our role. Now, let me explain this. Leanne and I've got some illustration here. Leanne and I, we've been 26 years of blissful marriage, okay? And some people are like, what's the secret to being in love for 26 years? It's pillow fights. And some of you don't know this. Leanne and I have a pillow fight almost every day. Not the cute kind where feathers are flying, right? The fight's about pillow, the loud kind, okay? About like how many pillows does a human need on their bed, okay? Like seriously, you went to Ross again and bought more pillows? Okay, so we have those kind of pillow fights all the time. Now, I've got a role, and it is not supervisor when it comes to interior decoration of our house. My role is, yes, dear. You know why? Happy life, happy life. Okay? I need to accept my role because I have my own goal. And if I ever want to see that goal happen, I got to accept my role. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so what happens is, here's what I want you to understand the frustration of my role, okay? My role is to put the pillows in such a way that Leanne agrees that this is the way the pillow is made to be put, okay? The problem is, look at this pillow, both sides of this pillow. I am so unpillowy, I thought they looked the same. But not old Hawkeye. No. She can walk in and from 100 feet away be like, Jeremy, that is not the front of the pillow. Not, my dear, you done it again. You made that bed. Look at you. Nope. It is. And I'm like, you can't even tell. She's like, you can feel. There's a different fabric. I'm like, who do you anticipate walking to our bedroom and feeling our pillow today, right? And I got a couple more questions, right? Or this pillow right here. How many can tell the difference between back and front? Oh, some of you are all judgy. No. Even if you can, how many can tell the difference between up and down, okay? Like, and I'm just like, and so what happens, I gotta tell you, here's how old Satan tries to tempt me every day. I'm just kidding, it's only on days I make the bed. So twice a month, here's how old Satan tempts me. He's like, Jeremy, your wife is being overbearing when it comes to the pillows. And I'm like, he's got a strong point, okay? And Jeremy, I think you need to put your foot down and demand a different role in this situation. But then I'm reminded of my goal. And I'm like, whatever, okay? Whatever. So I'm just gonna, oh, she's over there. Okay, so I think, is that right? I don't know, okay? Actually, if I get them dirty, here's the deal. When I was bringing them out of the house this morning, she's like, what are you doing with our pillows? And I'm like, I'm bringing them for illustration. She's like, if you dare forget them, forget about that goal. Okay, so I will be bringing these pillows home tonight. But think about this. We can get all bent out of shape about our role. Why? Well, I don't even know if I agree with that. I don't like that. I'm born for more than this, and I see it differently. But I want us to understand my role is connected to my goal. And if Jesus says to his followers, I want you to go everywhere and tell everyone the good news of Jesus. That's my role. And the goal is so that people would say, my goodness, God has a plan. And people would be open and have a conversation with Jesus. My job is to help other people think of, encounter Jesus. My job is to live my life in such a way where other people at the end of a conversation are more open to Jesus' plan in their life. It's not my job for them to commit, to sign the dot, extend a contract, any of that stuff. I'm just setting people up on blind dates, right? Not in the romantic way, but have you ever had a friend, you had a friend that you knew would like your other friend, but they didn't know each other, and so your job was like, I just got to get you two to get in the same room, meet each other, and you guys have a good time, right? That's what we ought to do with other people in Jesus. Jesus impacted our lives, those of you who are followers of Jesus. I know that's not everybody, but for a lot of you, you had an encounter and experience with Jesus, and it impacted you. Your job now is to help other people have the same conversation. Let it be in God's court what he does with it. I just want to make sure that you guys have a chance to talk. I want to set the stage so that you talk. Because if we think that our job is to convert people, people will feel like they're on our hit lists. They're our projects. For example, Leanne and I, when we were brand new married, we went to a church, we worked at a church, and it was the type of church where there weren't a ton of young married people at the church. And so when you saw someone that was near your age, you're like, what? Right? You have a grandma that goes here too, right? So one time, this young couple, they were really cool, and they asked Leanne and I out to come to their house for dinner. And this was our first ever peer invitation as a married couple to go to someone's house for dinner. So it was like a big deal to us. It was a Friday night. I put on a nice Christmas sweater and put Aspen all over. It was like one of those kind of nights. This is great. And we get all loaded up and get in the car. And again, some of you are judging me. I don't mean that. Okay, I mean we loaded in the car and get loaded and then get into the car. Okay, so we get in the car and we head to their house and we get there and they say, hey, do y'all before dinner, you mind if we go to a meeting real quick? And we're like, sure, no, that's fine. That's weird, but whatever, right? That's what cool young couples do, right? So we get in the car with them. We go to this nondescript business strip mall, and we show up into this thing. There's like 30, 20 other couples that are there also on this date. And there is a big whiteboard and an easel, and I have walked into an Amway presentation. Now, I don't know, I'm not anti-Amway. Matter of fact, I'm very pro-Amway. And if you would like some good cleaning products, right, cost maybe a little bit more, but really do the job, go to my link in my bio and just, help me out, right? But that'd be great. I'm just kidding. I'm not into Amway because that would get in the way of my lash business. But bottom line is, while I was there, I was like, they didn't want to go to dinner with us. They wanted us on their downline, right? Like this is a business conversation. And what's weird is I'm wide open to business conversations, but it's always weird when you think it's a relationship conversation and it turns into something different and you feel like you were suckered. And some of y'all think about that right now because you're like, someone told me they're taking me to lunch today. And they're like, you mind if I swing by this building real quick? And so I'm sorry. I hope make them pay at least, okay? But I don't want to live my life in such a way as to try and do good things with a bad agenda. Even if the agenda has a good purpose, it could come across if someone feels like they're our project. My role is not even to invite you to church. Now, I'm a fan of church, right? But that's weird. I admit that, okay? It's not like most people aren't looking to go to church. The number one reason is because they've been to one, okay? But I do believe in what happens when we gather. I do believe in the encouragement and a unique experience. I'm a fan of that. I believe in that. But I am more passionate about how we reflect Jesus outside these walls than what we say we believe in him inside these walls. Like, how do we interact with him at work? How do we interact with him at school? How do we interact with him in our community? How do we reflect Jesus? That is way more important than what you or I say we believe about him in these walls. Our role is to go everywhere to tell everyone the good news of Jesus. And when we do that, we allow him to have conversations with other people. And I believe you have a role in that. I believe you have a unique role in that. You are born during this time in human history, and I believe on purpose. You also live in Southwest Missouri right now, I believe with purpose. What would it look like if thousands of people this week walked out, re-gripped with a role to say, Jesus, how can I share your love with everyone, everywhere, with everything? So we're going to look at what that looks like. A couple of things here, and I better pick up my pace because we're like on point 2 of 38. Okay, so here we go. It's hard to change the world if I refuse to move my feet. If I'm like, those people there I'm going to change the world by having a strong opinion. You're not going to even change the world by having great morality. You're not going to change the world by being the loudest voice. It's hard, impossible to change the world if you refuse to move your feet. We need to go out and get involved. When it comes to Jesus' prayer in Matthew chapter 6, it's called the Lord's Prayer. A lot of theologians believe this is maybe intended to be a template of the type of things that we pray, maybe on the daily. Whatever it is, Jesus is saying, when the disciple says, can you teach us how to pray? Because when you're talking to God, it looks a lot different than when I'm talking with God. Can you teach us that? We want that. And he says, this then is how you should pray. Our Father, hallowed be thy name. And maybe you've seen that cross-stitched on a kitchen somewhere in your life. But bottom line is, when Jesus teaches his disciples to pray, he gets towards the end and he says this, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Your kingdom come, your will be done here, just like it is there. And anytime here doesn't go like there, we have a word for it. It's called injustice. Injustice is when something happens that you're like, that's not right. That is wrong. That is morally wrong. That is humanely wrong. That's wrong. The way you treated that person, that's wrong. The way you treated me, that's unjust. And some of you, well, we all are. I don't need a sum of nothing. Okay, all of us experience injustice. All of us, if we think about it right now, could think of something going on in your life right now that's just wrong. And it doesn't make you a rebel to recognize it. It doesn't make you a skeptic to recognize it. It makes you human, designed by a God who has a value, and you don't even need to follow him to recognize when something seems so off. You're like, like this week, talking with North Pointers. Just this week is talking with North Pointers who have just experienced a doctor's report and they're facing a diagnosis that's wrong. That you're like, why should any person go through that? That's wrong. That doesn't seem just. Talking to a North Pointer who is the victim of a senseless, violent act. And you're like, that is wrong. And for anyone to be like, well, it's just God's plan. I'm like, shut up, okay? There should be something inside of you that says that is wrong, that goes against everything that the value of heaven has. And when you see injustice, it could be when they didn't give you all 4 spicy nuggets at Wendy's. Why? Right? It could be little injustices, big injustices. When we face injustice, and we will face it, how do we respond? I believe our role is to bring justice wherever we are. Everywhere we go, everyone we see, the good news. So I want to talk about 3 pointless strategies. But I want to bring them up even though they're pointless because I think they're common strategies of how we face injustice. And when I say injustice, we can talk about it, a lot of churches will talk about it in this way. The ways of the world. The world's going to hell, Bobby Boucher, right? Like, is all going to hell in a handbasket. And then we don't want to be that kind of vibe because who is the world? A quick study will say we are. and so I feel like it's not fair to say the world. When we see humans doing unjust things, what do we do about that? First attitude could be this. If I try to escape the world, like, come in, we're going to buy a deadbolt and we're going to be safer in here. But that just makes me weird. And I don't know. I mean, honestly, it does. And you can swivel and you could I'm just saying, when I try to escape the things out there that are wrong and be like, oh my word, I got to get out of here. I'm just telling you, you're punting your role. God did not say, try and survive this scary world. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. Lock the doors. The only time he told the followers to lock the doors and hide is when they were waiting for the power of the Spirit of God. Because he's like, I don't trust you out there without the Spirit's power inside of you. So you lock yourself in, not because people are going to come and get you, because you're going to get out and mess it all up. So lock the doors and wait till the Spirit of God is on you, and then go into all the world and represent Jesus. Escapism makes sense. Because you can look at stuff that's going on and you'd be like, dude, that's violent, that's weird, that's warped, that goes against all the values that I want to be. I understand the angst that we are faced with if you look at some of that. But the answer is not to just escape the world God called you to season. So escaping is not the answer. Second thing is, then eliminate the world, okay? Eliminating the world makes you weaponized. When you say my job is to be John Wick for Jesus, I'm just telling you, that's the wrong approach. Your job is to not go give everyone a dose of what you think they deserve. That is not your job. Your job is not to grab a bullhorn and a weapon and to go and, that's called the Crusades, right? That is not the proudest time of the movements of Christianity. Your job is not to eliminate all the darkness. Your job is not to escape all the darkness. So some of you might be saying, okay, well, maybe it's embody. But when you embody the values that are different than the values of the kingdom, it makes you weak. When I say, okay, que sera, sera, whatever, it's all good. It makes you weak. You're not influential. Jesus talks about it. He says, man, you're the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, then what's it good for? Just to be thrown out and trampled on by people. You're not called to be weak. You're not called to be God's weapon. And you're not called to be weird. We're going to look at what our role is. Listen, I know I'm sharing this. I'm broadcasting. I'm throwing this to thousands of people. But Spirit of God is narrowcasting to you. You're here on purpose. If you recognize anything wrong with the values around you, you have a role to play. And that role is not to hide. The role is not to hurt back. And the role is not to just embrace and embody. Here's what Jesus says. He's telling a story in Matthew chapter 25. And it's a story called The Sheep and the Goats. In this story, he talks about the reward, the kind of the Oscars for heaven, okay? Here's the award show in heaven and who gets rewards when they get to heaven. And he's talking about, in those days, there'll be sheep and goats, and the sheep are the good ones and the goats are the bad ones, right? And so he's going to separate them, right? And so he's telling people, here's what heaven values. He's pulling the curtain back to the values of heaven and saying, these are the things that will be rewarded. And he says to a bunch of people, he goes, you all are going to be rewarded because you fed me when I was hungry. You clothed me when I was naked. You gave me water when I was parched. You visited me when no one else would and I was isolated. You did all these things, so you get all these awards. And they're like, #humbled, but to be honest, there might be a mistake. I think you read the wrong name because I don't remember ever doing that to you. I don't know that I'm worthy of those kind of eternal rewards. And here's what Jesus describes in Matthew chapter 25. He says, then the good people will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry and give you food, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you alone and away from home and invite you into our house? When did we see you without clothes and give you something to wear? When did we see you sick or in prison and take care of you? Then the king will answer, I tell you the truth, anything you did for even the least of my people here, you also did for me. Every time you saw something wrong and you did the right thing the right way, you did for me. Pulling back the curtain of heaven, the value of heaven is when you go everywhere and serve everyone good news. And good news might look like a cup of cold water. Good news might look like a warm jacket because winters are coming. Winters are coming. It doesn't feel like it right now. It's coming. Good news might be giving someone a jacket. Good news might be giving someone a Waffle House gift card. Good news might be having a conversation that's unrushed with somebody. Every time you do that, you're bringing kingdom values. You're living out your role in a good job. You're doing a good job with your role because you're helping with the goal. But some of us would be like, I don't like my role. I don't want to talk to them. I don't understand them. I don't like them. I'm afraid of them. I'm whatever. Just throw the ball to Wemby and LeBron. Remember your role. Trust the goal will happen if we do the role. So if our calling is not to avoid, if our calling is not to eliminate others, if our calling is not to embody the values of those around us, what is our calling? And I believe it's this. Our calling is to enhance the world, not escape it, to enhance it. If we're willing. We got to be willing to say, God, would you use me during this time in this way to help hunt for justice, even when justice is not found? Can I dole out justice with a smile by bringing kingdom values in Southwest Missouri? Is that possible? What does that look like? If I'm willing, it means I have to change a few things. One, I have to change who I'm curious about, curious of, curious towards. I have to become curious about the areas that used to make me furious. It doesn't mean you're embodying everything. It means you care enough to wonder, how did this happen? What does this look like from your perspective? Even think of the most heinous, awful things that for you speak injustice. If they're delivered through humans, they are humans that were created by God, and it's helpful to stop and say, God, is it possible that you love that person? Is it possible that they've been hurt? What happened? And what's my role in this? One of the greatest writers of Scripture, his name is Paul, and he wrote half the New Testament. He was a terrorist towards the early Christian movement. Matter of fact, when he became a follower of Jesus, the Christians wouldn't embrace him because they're like, it's a setup. This is like a Chris Hansen sting operation, right? This is bad. Okay, avoid him. He's going to kill us. And it took a while for people to trust him. What if God can do some things, right? We need to be curious. Well, what are the dark parts of our community? What are the parts of injustice in our community? The parts that you're like, that's just wrong. What can we do about it? Right? Let's get curious about it. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything and you have to address every need that you see. Now, some of you grew up in a guilty type of a church, the church that told you every time you gathered that you were doing the wrong thing and here's the 3 things you need to do to be better and to make God happy. And if you grew up in that kind of a church, I'm so sorry, first of all. Secondly, you are prone to take this out of context and try and be the answer to every need, and that's not your job, okay? A bleeding heart thinks everybody's a victim. Not everybody's a victim. Not every circus, is yours, right? You can't be invited to every party out there. So what you need to understand is be curious and ask, is this something I should be involved in? Now, some of you don't struggle with a bleeding heart. You got a bitter heart, and you think everybody out there is out to get you, right? Everybody out there is well deserving of their lot in life, so just lock the doors, let's keep going, right? And the truth is somewhere in between. So here's how we do it as the church. Right? As a church, North Point exists to give back to the community we're in. And so, but that doesn't mean that our job is to do everything someone asks us to do. Every time a community leader calls me and says, hey, I got an idea I'd like to bounce off you, I'm interested. Call me curious. Let's talk. What's your need? And I also am not like having a drive-by guilting like, you think we should do that? Okay, cancel everything else we got going. Let's do this, guys, right? No. But I'm interested. And then I think, okay, is that something we could uniquely help move the needle towards? Is this something that lines up with our role? If so, game on, right? If not, we're like, okay. I don't know that we're the answer there, but we've got a great community partner that is. You want us to go to this site that was a disaster site here, and you want us to go help clean up and distribute? Well, maybe we could, but let me tell you about Convoy of Hope. They're actually a lot better at it than we are, and they're a great partner. So then we go to Convoy of Hope and say, how can we help you in this? How can we add fuel to what's going on? We got great partners. Like last week at one of our campuses, we introduced you to Council of the Church of the Ozarks, or Church Council of the Ozarks. There's a lot of great ministries there. Crossline Food Pantry, Diaper Bank. There's all types of ministries out there that do very specific work, and they do a good job at it. And we say, how can we help you? Whether it's Pregnancy Care Center, whether it's Least of These, whether it's the Springfield Dream Center, we say, how can we help you do what you do really good at and then be wide open to every conversation? We're not going to be able to do everything, but we cannot be paralyzed by doing nothing. As a church, we must be aimed out, arrows out, giving back. Okay? How do we do that as individuals? Well, you can't do everything. You can't meet every need. But you are born to go everywhere to everyone that you come across and be good news. What does that look like? Arrows out. Second thing is, not only do I change what I'm curious about, I got to change what I get mad at. Anger is a gift from God. Anger gives you a short-term fuel to get you to a destination and make quick decisions. Anger is also dangerous, right? Because it gives you short-term fuel to help you make quick decisions. But when you have anger, the first thing you need to understand is, why am I angry? And if that anger is because there's an injustice, maybe God's giving you fuel to do something about it. Now, make sure when you process that, it's not just to protect your preferences. It's not about your pillow fight. It's about something bigger. If it moves the needle of heaven, what can you do about it? Use that fuel. If you're always getting angry about something that impacts you personally, then it might be selfish anger. But Jesus got angry. Jesus, and I've got scriptures in your outline. So, but I'll just talk you quickly through some of it. Is one, he got angry when someone ignored or belittled kids. There was a time, we have it in your notes, where a bunch of kids came to Jesus and Jesus got down and talked to them, and then Jesus' followers were like, whoa, kids, this is not your time. We got Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they're waiting in line, they're way more important than you are, so hey, you go to your, and Jesus says, suffer not the little children to come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Basically, he's like, y'all better watch it because this is my priority. He got mad. There's verses in scripture, he says, better to tie a millstone around your neck and jump into the sea than to harm a kid. Anytime someone makes it tougher for a kid to experience Jesus, there's anger. But make sure your anger is righteous anger. Another time Jesus got mad is anytime people made it harder for others to experience Jesus, whether it was giving them unnecessary rules. Like seriously, like you're gonna add another rule to people. What you're doing is you're making it harder for them to experience Jesus. There were religious leaders who were selling for an unfair price the sacrificial lambs that poor Jewish people needed to pay the sacrifice once a year in the temple. And they had no voice. They were totally vulnerable to the whims of these religious leaders who were wealthy. And the religious leaders would say, no, that's not acceptable, but I've got something for sale. And they'd say, you can buy this trinket here, and then God will be happy. And Jesus comes in and tips over the tables and goes Indiana Jones on them because he says, you're making it tougher for people who want to encounter God. Let your anger be righteous anger. Let it be about things that are values of heaven that are broken here. And now how do I do it in a way that helps move the needle? And maybe that's saying, okay, well, if I look at the education system here, it means I'm going to get 30 grandparents to be a reading buddy. I'm going to get 17 people to be t-ball coaches. And not yell at the umps, okay? What is it that you can do to bring value and joy and Jesus type of ingredients to the community? And so the third thing is it changes what I invest in. It changes what I get mad about, and it changes what I invest in. I begin to do anything with my time, my treasure, my talent, in order to say, how can I be about the values of heaven? Not just talk about it, I want to be about it. What can I do in a practical way to make it easier for someone to encounter Jesus? Now, here's what I want to land the plane for us today. Some of you don't have a relationship with Jesus. That's not your foundational premise. And I understand that. And we want this to be a place where you hear him talk to you. But maybe you are hearing him talk to you about that. And today is the day where you say, I've not founded my own life on the values of heaven, but today I want to. My sin that goes against God's best, my injustice. Jesus, forgive me for that. And from this day forward, I want to go on mission with you and for you. Give me whatever role, because now I'm united in the goal. And if you're ready to do that today, just simply where you're at in your own heart, invite him in. A lot of you've made that decision. Matter of fact, that's what characterizes your faith. If that's true, this week, say, God, wherever my feet go, wherever my hands extend, may the end result be someone is more open to relationship with Jesus than ever before. God, don't hide me from injustice. Help my eyes to see it. Help my heart to feel it. And let my feet and my hands do something about it. Because God, let your kingdom come. Your will be done in Southwest Missouri, just as it is in heaven. And I bet if thousands of people seasoned this land with that kind of salt this week, it would taste decent. Let's be about it this week. So let me pray. Father, today, I pray that you would allow us to be people of action. People who don't just believe something loudly, but live something sincerely. Help us to be a blessing to those in need. And in doing so, prepare a table for you to have a conversation. God, help us to accept our role as we're gripped with your goal. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.